My parents lied about the flight date, so I'd miss our main trip. When I called from the airport, Mom laughed. "Oh sweetie, we're in Lake Sebago already. Why didn't you come yesterday?" I hung up, went home, and said nothing. But when they landed back home. Update 3. Saturday morning, I drove to Lillian's cottage, a folder of evidence tucked under my arm. Credit card statements, bank transfers, screenshots of their texts. My lawyer had outlined my options. Press charges for identity theft, or negotiate a repayment plan. Either way, I needed them to know the game was over. The main air was crisp, the pines whispering as I steeled myself. I'd spent years chasing their approval, but today I was claiming my power. My parents and Clara arrived at Lillian's, their faces a mix of guilt and defiance. Mom's eyes were red, but I recognized the calculated tears. Dad's jaw was set like he was ready for a fight. Clara looked pale, avoiding my gaze. They sat in Lillian's living room, the silence heavy as I began. "Thank you for coming," I said, my voice steady, despite the knot in my chest. "We need to talk about this." I held up the credit card statement, a $20,000 card in my name. "Care to explain?" Mom jumped in, her voice quivering. "It was an emergency, Eliza. We meant to tell you." I laid out more papers, casino receipts, loan applications. "An emergency like gambling, or telling me Clara's in Portland, when she's working at a bakery here." Clara's head snapped up, confusion in her eyes. "What?" she whispered. I turned to her. "They said my money was for your art, headshots, rent. But you've been here, Clara. They lied to us both." The room erupted. Clara's voice cracked as she faced Mom and Dad. "You told me Eliza refused to help with my tuition." Mom tried to interrupt, but I cut her off. "Enough. You committed identity theft. That's a federal crime." I slid the repayment agreement across the table. "Sign this. Repay every cent and close that card, or I press charges." Dad's face reddened. "You wouldn't dare. We're your parents." Lillian's voice cut through. "Parents don't steal from their kids." "Sign it, Tom." For a moment I thought Dad might refuse. Then he clutched his chest, gasping my heart. I froze, but Lillian's sharp glance stopped me. "No more tricks," she said. Dad's hand dropped, his act exposed. They signed, Mom's tears drying fast, Clara staring at them like strangers. As they left, I felt no triumph, only a hollow ache for the family I'd wanted. But standing there with Lillian's hand on my shoulder, I knew I'd taken back my life. The cabin they'd excluded me from had set me free. In the weeks that followed, my parents' carefully built world unraveled. The repayment agreement forced them to sell their sprawling main house, the one I'd helped pay for with years of transfers. They moved into a cramped apartment in Portland, their retirement income now funneled into paying back the $20,000 they'd stolen. It wasn't about revenge, it was accountability. Each check that arrived, small but steady, was a reminder that I'd finally set a boundary they couldn't cross. Clara reached out one evening, her voice hesitant over the phone. "I didn't know, Eliza," she said. "They told me you didn't care about my art, that you were too busy for us." I wanted to be angry, but her words carried a familiar hurt, the sting of being their pawn. She'd moved in with Lillian, enrolling in community college to study graphic design. "Can we talk sometime?" she asked. "Maybe coffee." I paused, the weight of years between us. "Maybe," I said. It wasn't forgiveness, but it was a door cracked open. My parents didn't give up easily. They showed up at my Boston office one morning unannounced. Mom's wails echoing in the lobby. "We're losing everything, Eliza, after all we did for you." Colleagues stared, but I stood tall, my voice calm. "You lost me. That's what matters." Security escorted them out, and as their figures faded, I felt a quiet peace. The guilt that once chained me, those nights worrying about their bills, their health, their approval was gone. I was no longer their savior or their scapegoat. That evening, I booked a solo trip to the Lake Sebago cabin. The irony wasn't lost on me. They tried to keep me from that lake, but now it was mine to claim. As I confirmed the reservation, my phone buzzed with a text from Lillian. "They're out of the house. Clara's asking about you." I smiled, picturing the lake's still water, the pines framing the sky. I was ready to rewrite what family meant, starting with myself. At work, I threw myself into a new project, my focus sharper without the constant drain of their demands. My team noticed, one colleague joking, "Eliza, you're glowing, what's the secret?" I laughed, deflecting, but I knew the truth. I was building a life for me. The dream of my own firm, once buried under their needs, felt within reach. As I walked home, the Boston skyline sparkling, I realized their betrayal had given me something they never intended, freedom to choose myself. The main air was sharp with pine and possibility. As I stood on the dock of Lake Sebago, the cabin's warm lights glowing behind me, the water lapped gently, reflecting a sunset that bled orange and pink across the sky. This wasn't the family trip I dreamed of. No laughter with Mom, no late-night talks with Clara, but it was better. It was mine. I'd arrived that morning, my suitcase lighter, without the weight of their expectations. For the first time in years, I breathed freely, the knot in my chest unraveling with each wave. Back in Boston, my life was shifting. A promotion landed on my desk the week before, a nod to the energy I now poured into my work. Without the constant buzz of Mom's tearful voicemails or Dad's demands, I had space to dream again. I'd started researching office spaces for my investment firm, sketching plans on napkins during lunch breaks. The $147,000 I'd given my parents could have been my startup capital, but I refused to dwell. Their betrayal had cost me money, but it had bought me clarity. Now you can watch the fourth part by pressing share and more.